Yeah, so hopefully it will go quickly. But Agad is so rich usually with stuff. It's hard. Okay, so let's get started from where we left off yesterday, which I believe was at the bottom of Tesvav Amud Aleph. Okay, so I think we're up to the Yochanan Rabbi Loza Damir Tavayu, the second last line from the top. So I just want to share with you, there's such good shticklich on these Gemaras, so I'm going to share with you two shticklich. One is we learned 2 days ago that Rus was the Novi, Rus is the Ksuvim, Rus is the Ksuvim that it started off talking about the Hebrew Mishpat Ashevtim, but Lamaisa, Rus's name was Rus because her Enikol David HaMelech was Riva HaKadosh Baruch Hu with Shiros as a Shpachis and writing to Hillim, he satiated the Rebbeinu Shalom with Shiros and Tishbachis. So the Chassam Sofer says, a beautiful daher. He says that he holds, I don't know where he gets it from, or maybe we'll see where he gets it from, that Rus's name was Rus when she was born. But when she became a Geyeris, they added a Yud to her name and she became Rivas. Because of the thing the Gemara says that her edicle was Riva Kodesh Baruch Hu, Seishet Kodesh Baruch Hu, L'Shir Shishbachos. Zot L'Chsam Sofer, the word Rivas has the same oisios as the word Yisroi. Yisroi started off as Yeser, and after he was Magayer, he became Yisroi. Right? So Zok the Chassam Sofer, these were probably the two most prominent Gerim that ever joined Klal Yisrael. And then he said, I'll bring you a ride that I'm right. And this is unbelievable. What is the gematria of Yisroi? I know it's early in the morning. So Tov and Reish is 600, and Yud and Vav is 16. So it's 616. And if you add the amount of letters, which is 4, it becomes 620, and 620 is the 613 mitzvahs plus the Sheva mitzvahs Pnei Noach. Yisroi had that, and Rus had that. But what is the gematria of Naomi, Rus's mother-in-law? Naomi is 50 and 70 is 120, right? 50 and 70 is 120, plus 4 is 160, plus 10 is 170. So Naomi is 170, right? Now it's going to get really complicated. What if you subtract 170 from 616? You know what you get? Anybody have a phone? Do we see that for it? 616 minus 170. 446. What did Rus tell her mother-in-law? Rak hamovis yafrid beini ubeinecha. What is the gematria of movis? 446. So the difference between me and you is 446. That's what the Chassam Sofer says. It's going to be a good shtickle. Okay, we've had now a whole bunch of opinions of who Eov was, from living at the times of Yaakov Avinu to a figment of an imagination, to a marshal, right? So what did Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Loza say? Damri Tavayu, Eov me'oilei goylei haya. He came up after the Golas Bava with Ezra. He came back to Israel, and you know what? He had a shtibel. Eov had a shtibel. His Beis Medrash was in Tveria. So Chachamim ask, how is it possible that he had a Beis Medrash in Tveria and no one could figure out who he is? He had a Beis Medrash in Tveria. Not Rabbi Yochanan. Zok the Mefarshim, what Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Loza meant was Eov is a marshal. But you know who had a Beis Medrash in Tveria? One of the biggest Bala Yisurim in Klal Yisrael, Rabbi Yochanan. Right? He lost all his children. Dane Grumman, that's where beer used to go around. He lost his money. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Loza had horrific lives. And they had a shul in Tveria. So say, I'll tell you where Eov is. Mom Beis Medrash is an Eov. Because I suffer, I'm also an Eov. Because I also suffer like Eov suffered. And my Beis Medrash is in Tveria. It's Mishmel B'Tveria. Oh, and I just wanted to point out one more thing. Why are Nevi'im called Nevi'im and Ksuvim called Ksuvim? Aren't they all really written by Nevi'im? So why is there this distinction? So Rabbi Rosner spoke out from no, it was not Rabbi Rosner. I think it was Rabbi Rosner. If you listen to two people, you get mixed up who said what. He said beautiful. The Navi is a Navi that the Rebbeinu Shalom told him, go tell Klal Yisrael this. The Ksuvim where the Rebbeinu Shalom told him, write it down, but you don't have to go tell Klal Yisrael. So Nevi'im are those who had a message, a verbal message to deliver to Klal Yisrael. And the Ksuvim were people who had instructions to write down, to record this Navi, this Sefer, but he wasn't instructed to go communicate this to Klal Yisrael. Zogt Gemara weiter. Meisve, Yemei Shnoishav Shel Iyov was Mishah Shenichnasu Yisrael Mitzrayim B'Chiyotzu. So you see quite clearly the period of time that Iyov lived in. He lived in the period of time from when the Yidden went down to Mitzrayim until the period of time when they left. So it's fair on everybody. I mean, it corresponding to the life of Moshe and corresponding to the life of the Meraglim might be close, but it's not exactly the same. The Dr. Gemara, the Brisa doesn't mean he lived in those specific years. It means Ema Kimishah Shenichnasu Yisrael B'Tzrayim V'At Shashiyotzu, meaning they lived the same amount of years, which we know was 210 years. Mesa. Now, we're going to assume that everybody up until this point, Rashi says, learns that Iyov was a Yid, except for the Mandomer who says that Iyov was B'mei Yaakov. Because B'mei Yaakov, he wasn't a Yid, because nobody was Yid yet. We didn't get the Torah yet. So Meisve, Shiva Nevi'im Nisnabu L'Umois Olam. There are 7 Nevi'im that said Nevu to Umois Olam, and Zot Rashi, and therefore we assume that they were Goyim. Ve'elohein Bilam, Ve'oviv, Ve'iyov, Eliphaz HaTeimani, Baldad HaShuchi, Sofer Hanamosi, Ve'elio ben Brachel, Habuzi. So Frag the Gemara, if Bilam was on this list, if Iyov was on this list, then Iyov was also a Goy. So how could you tell me he was a Yid? Frag the Gemara, Ultamech, Eliu ben Brachel, Lav me Yisrael Lava, Eliu, who's also on this list, who you would also argue, therefore, was a Goy, but we know he was a Jew. Vaksiv mimishpachas Reim, who's from the Reim family, and everybody knows they were Jewish. Elo, what must it mean? Invuye inve lu'umay Yisraelim. They said Eidos, so they said Nevuah to the Goyim. Hachanami Iyov inve lu'umay Yisraelim. He could have been a Yid, but his Nevuah was to the Goyim. Right to Gemara. So now why are these 7 Nevi'im distinct? All Nevi'im said Nevuah to the Goyim. Atu kul Nevi'im lo invu lu'umay Yisraelim. So to Gemara, yes, they did occasionally. But Hasam Ikar Nevuah Sali Yisrael, all the Nevi'im, their main Nevuah communicated to Klal Yisrael. But Hacha, these Nevi'im, Ikar Nevuah Sali L'Umay Yisrael. I'm sorry? Yonah was a Navi. He was supposed to go to Talmud. They knew they were going. Maybe not. Maybe that was his famous one. That's a good aura. It's a very good aura. Yonah, the only Nevuah we know from Yonah was the Nevuah that he was going to go to all the Goyim. Zaktim Rabbacha, Mesvei. Chassid Hayi B'Umas Olam Ve'iu Shumay. There was a chassid amongst Umas Olam. So we just deflected that maybe Iyov is not a guy. Here we have a Kalara Brisa. Chassid Hayi B'Umas Olam. Iyov was a guy. Ve'iu Shumay. V'lei B'La Olam Ela Kedei L'Kabel Schorei. He came to get schar because he was going to suffer Yisurim. Heavy HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisurim, and boy, he lost his schar. His chil mechar from a gadif. He was mechar from a gadif to Rebbeinu Shalom. So forget it. Not only did he not get schar, now he's going to get punished. HaKadosh Baruch Hu schar b'Olam Hazeh. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu doubled up his schar in Olam Hazeh. K'dei l'tardim in Olam Haba. So he shouldn't get Olam Haba. So this is black and white that Iyov was a goy. In fact, it's a machlokes tanoim whether or not Iyov was a yid or a goy. The Tanya Lazar Eimer Iyov b'Meshvayt Hashoytim Hoya. He lived in the time of Rus. Now we have another shita that places Iyov in the time of Rus. Shenemer hein atem kulchem chazisem. You all see. Why should you get involved in Hevel? Ezeh dar shekula Hevel. Which door was kula Hevel? Which was a bad door. Havoimer is a door of Shvayt Hashoytim. That was the door of Shvayt Hashoytim. And we're going to see in a moment, the Gemara is going to dash in that generation, Shvayt Hashoytim means people would judge the Shoftim, meaning the Shoftim were more corrupt and were bigger lowlives than the people themselves. And we're going to have a couple of examples of it. So that's the generation that Iyov lived in. He was in the days of Achashverosh. So Nemar, it says about Eiv's daughters, there were no women that were as pretty as the daughters of Eiv in all of the land, in the whole world. Where was it ever in Agea? Where was there ever a call for beautiful women? So that place is Eiv in the door of Achashverosh. That stems a little bit with Oile Bavel, because that was Achashverosh was by Galus Bavel. Maybe it was early in times of David, because they were looking for a beautiful woman in David's days too. There they looked in all of Klal Yisrael for a girl, a Pelegish for David HaMelech to keep him warm. But it says by Eiv, there was no one as pretty as her b'chol haaretz. That was only relevant to Achashverosh. He was in the days of the Malchus, the kingdom of Shva. Shenemar batapel Shva, batikachem and took them. He was in the times of Nebuchadnezzar. Shenemar kastim shemoy, or kastim someone shlosh roshim. The Yosy Eiv b'mei Yaakov hoya. Eiv was in the days of Yaakov. And you know who he was an Edom by? Vedina bas Yaakov Nosa. He was an Edom by Yaakov Avinu. Ksiv Kedavar Achas Hanavalois Tidabri, which is an Eiv. Ksiv Ki Navala also be Israel when Dina was captured by Shechem. Zog to Gemara Bechulu Tanoi Svirlu, the Eiv me Israel Havel. All the Tanoim who have all the different timings when Eiv lived, all held that he was a Yid. Levarmi Yeshayim, except for the Yeshayim that says it was B'mei Yaakov, because B'mei Yaakov we didn't get the Torah. If you would say that they're this is the key, because why is there an assumption that just because they lived in the time where the Yidden were that they're Jewish? Zok to Gemara, this is the key. If they were Me'umas Olam, Basra the Shachiv Moshe Mishari Shchina L'Dechavim, you never found Nuvuah by Goyim after Moshe Rabbeinu died. Since all of these other shittas learn that this occurred some period of time after Moshe Rabbeinu died, it wouldn't have been possible for Eiv to have had Nevuah, because the Amar Mar Bikesh Moshe July Tishra Shchina Al Oivek Echavim, but not so like that was granted to Moshe that never again would a goy have a Nevuah. So Nemar v'Neflinu Aniv Amcha, we are going to be special. We're going to be distinct from the rest of the goy.
But that happened at Har Sinai. What does that have to do after Moshe Rabbeinu died?
Maybe after Moshe's period. Maybe.
Well, even then, it should have stopped then at Har Sinai.
Didn't Bilam happen after Har Sinai, or did Bilam happen before?
I know, but this promise was made at Har Sinai. The story of Bilam happened like 38 years later.
So maybe the Hashem only granted it to Moshe after he died.
Maybe.
It was his birthday. I mean, his death day present. I'm not sure. So that's a good order, right? Because Bilam was after Har Sinai when this happened. Eiv's dar was very nichshal in znus shenemar hein atem kulchem chazisem, you all see. Bilam is a hevel tavu. Looking always has to do with nus, looking at what you're not supposed to look at. Shubi hashulamis, shubi v'nechzavach. And that Rashi touches the Goyim saying, abandon your Torah, come to us. By us, it's much more fun. Who's it Chazoyin looking? Is a lotion of looking at Dvorim Yisurim at Nus. Ema b'nevuah. Chazoyin is also a lotion that's used to describe Nevuah. Tichsiv Chazoyin Yishayo b'namat. Zak Gemorim Kain Lama Zeh Hevel Tavlu Amali. The pasuk says Lama Zeh Hevel Tavlu. What does that mean? It means obviously you're getting involved in narishkeit and the bad things. So here Chazoyin can't be Nevuah, must be. It's dar sheshoifet sheshoiftim. Now we're going to talk about why that was a bad dar. Amalei, let's say the Rav would come over to you and give you musar. Take a splinter out. In other words, he suddenly mentioned you have a small little issue. Maybe you shouldn't talk about davening. Amalei, the boss would tell the Rav back. You think I have a minor problem? I speak about davening. I saw you sleeping with her last week. In other words, you think I'm a problem, you're a much bigger problem. I have a splinter, you have a board. Your money is not in a good situation. You say back, you think I got a problem. Your whole wine is diluted in water, it's all messed up. In other words, the Shaitim were worse and more vulnerable than even the Tzibur. That's why it was a very bad period. Because Malchus would sound like a queen. Ain't no to mistake. Because my Malchus Shva, Malchus of the Shva, doesn't mean the queen of Shva, doesn't mean the queen of Sheba. It means the kingdom. But the day came, this is the beginning of the Yom. Shem told the Satan, where you're coming from, the Satan said as follows. I flew around the whole world. I didn't find anybody who as Neman to you, as Avram Avinu was. You told him, so imagine Avram Avinu was promised the world. He was promised the world. And then when he's in the time of stress and he's trying to find a caver for his wife, and Sarah, he didn't say, what's going on, Rebbe Shalom? You told me the whole soul is mine. Now I have to pay through my nose for a grave. Did you see my friend Eoy, my servant Eoy? He's pretty good. There's no one like him. There's greater praises referring to Eoy than there was by Avram Avinu. All I know about you, Avram Avinu, is that you're Yerei Lakim. But there's an extra bonus to a he was not makbid on his money. If, let's say, a person is owed a chatzi pruta for work that he did for a balabais, can't give a half a pruta, so what would you do? Noisin chatzi pruta lechenveni. What they would do is they would go and give a pruta to the Chevni to buy product, and I would only get a half a pruta of that product, and you would get a half a pruta. So this way I got my half. I got exact change. Eve said, keep the change. He was never makbid on the small amount. So that's a mila. And the Satan says, well, you're trying to make Eve, that's a big deal? You think he saw such a big chusud of yours, Rebbeinu Shalom, because for no reason he's some erlich like Avram? Nah, he's only doing it because he is on the take. It's like the people who like Biden. Obviously, they must be getting something. Or the supporters of Trudeau, they must be getting something. So who said that Eoy is such a loyal guy? You shielded him and supported him. And the pasuk goes on. It says, Ma'aseh Yoda Beirachta. So what does it mean, Ma'aseh Yoda Beirachta? It would become gebenched. In other words, like if you went and got $1 from the Lubavitch Rebbe and you invested that money, you were guaranteed to make $1 million. Anybody who got even a pruta from Eoy took that money and was always successful with that money. It also says in the pasuk, and your sheep boomed in the world. What does that mean? It broke the laws of the land. The Ze'evim, the wolves are the predators, and the Izim are the prey. It was the sheep who were the predators. I would much rather be a shepherd of a herd that's prey than the shepherd of a herd that are predators. So it probably means they didn't go after people. They only went after Ze'evim. The ulam shalachno yotcha v'gab b'chol asher loy. The Satan told Hashem, let me take away all the good that he has. And then I want to hear how he's going to curse the Rebbeinu Shalom. Let me take away the good stuff. Anybody would be your chused if they're on the take. You could take everything. You can't kill him. And Rashi tells us you can't take his friends. If you notice in Eoy, it's all about his conversations with the people who are around him, his support group, his friends, his family. And we learn from there that although although a person could suffer the greatest sorrows if he loses his support, he loses his family and friends, he doesn't have a chance. So means you have to leave him and support him. But here, the day came, there was some type of party in the family. One of the siblings made a party. The Malach came to Yoi. It says in the pasuk that the parish, that the bulls were charshim, and the asaynais and the mules were eating. If you think about it, after plowing, can a team of asaynais come right after that and eat the finished product? No, you still have to plant and cultivate and water and weed, and it takes months till you have a grown crop. Yet there, literally right behind the planting, you had the asaynais eating. That was a nice. You've got a little taste of Olam Haba, where everything comes instantly. There's no waiting for the good. Zok to Gemara. Now the trouble started. While the first month was talking, the Zebah, the Malach came to herald trouble. Which is referring to, I think it burnt his house down and killed everybody. He lost his family. Now they took your the chosim. Your house collapsed on your children. So in one fell swoop, one after the other, Eob was bombarded with bad news that he lost all his property, lost his house, he lost everything. He tore his beged. Now we know that you rise kriya for losing a loved one, but it's also to be korech karcha lameis. Radal, he was korech karcha on the loss of his money and the loss of his possession. For that, it doesn't say you're not allowed. It's only by yikar karcha for a mace. No, I'm accepting it. You know why? Because I'm still in the same condition that I was when I was born, and I'm still healthy. No. Hashem Nosan, Hashem Lokach, Yishem Hashem Avoyach. So he withstood in the soil, and he said, "Listen, I still have what I came to the world with. I'm good." He didn't turn bad against Hashem. It's going to get worse. We're going to ratchet it up. And I didn't find anybody better than Avram Avinu. Amar lo father of Shalom, Shtaz b'chalaylam, but the Tzaddik Abdul Avram, Shamat l'kumas alech ba'aretz l'ark l'rachba kilchat nena, v'shar shebika stick for Sarah l'matzah malkim l'kayvra. We're kind of doing over. We just learned on the base. But here Acham Yisecha, v'yayim Hashem l'satan nasam to libcha l'abdi Yev. My son, my servant Yev is almost like Avram Avinu, maybe even better. He ain't kamayu ba'aretz. The Aidenu machzik b'tumasai, and he's still holding on to his erlichai. But the sisenu boy lebalachinam, and you're going to try to, the Satan is going to try to lure me into swallowing him up, and ruining him. In the Malam Mikra culture, the pasuk didn't talk about the Satan being able to seduce Kavayachol, the Rebbeinu Shalom, to allow him to bring hardship to Eob. You wouldn't be able to express something like that. Like a regular person who they seduce him. And he becomes seduced. Yored umasa v'oila umargiz and noitel rishus v'noitel neshama. And Rashi explains, Yored lamata umata tabris lachta. He goes down. The Satan goes down and fools people to do a virus. Then v'oila umayla umargiz as chamas hamelach bistatnusoi. Then he goes and becomes a Satan from the Yitzhahara. He goes to become the Satan. To say, Hashem, look what they did. To write on the Kodesh Baruch Hu, and then he gets Rishus from Hashem to punish the person. Then he becomes a Satan. So it's the same villain. That's the Yitzhahara. That's the Kateger That is the Satan himself who's killing us. He's the Grim Reaper. V'yana Satan al Hashem, es Hashem v'yomer, or bad or v'chalasher leish yitain bad nafshoy. He wanted everything. I want to be able to make him sick. I want to do everything, but I'll leave him alive. Ulam shnach shlach no yotka v'ga el atzmoy vel b'sorei im loy al panecha yavrech v'yom Hashem lo Satan hina b'yotka. Okay, you want to have him? I'll give him everything to you. But achas nafshoy shmor. You can put him through whatever you want to put him through as far as hardship is concerned, but I don't want you killing him. But Hashem, and he went with the Chazon of Tzaras. But it was harder for Satan to cause Eve so much trouble, but to monitor it and meter it so it should cause maximum pain, but not actually kill him. Mishal Eve, who had to experience that. Moshe Lev Shalom Rabbi, Shvar Chavis, I want you to break the barrel that's full of wine, but don't you lose a drop of wine. Ushmor Esyena. So that's the difficult job that the Satan had. Who Satan who Yitzharahu Malachamavis, who Satan Nechsev, Yitzhar Satan Meis Pnei Hashem, who Yitzhar Ksevhasam, Rak Halayim, Uksevhacha, Rak Elav Al Tishvach Yadcha, who Malachamavis Nechsev, Ach Es Nafshay Shumar. Alma B'didei Kama, you see that it was within his power to kill, and Hashem instructed him, do not kill Iyad. Remember, Levi, Satan Ufanina, the Satan and Penina, what a club to be part of. Penina was the co-wife of Kana, who used to chepa her sister because she wanted to be mitzar her sister L'Shem Shemaim, so she should cry and be zoicha to a child. So L'Shem Shemaim Yechavnu, they all meant it for good. Satan, given the Chazal HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the naughty died to Basra Iyad, the Satan saw that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was getting too excited with Iyad, meaning he was making a bigger deal about Iyad than even Avram Avinu. Amar Chas V'Shalom Min Chileiler Achmanusay Avram. Hashem is going to forget about the schus of Avram with which he sustains Klal Yisrael, and he's getting focused on Iyad. I have to make Hashem forget about Iyad, so Hashem should focus on Avram Avinu and save Klal Yisrael. I mean, again, these are things that if the Gemara didn't tell us, it would be apikourses to say. Penina dechsev v'chiasato sarasa gam kaf. Why? Over her irima, she just wanted to motivate and prompt Chana to beseech the Rebbeinu Shalom. Dosher Bacha B'Yaakov Papunya. Papunya is the riding in where Justin Trudeau is the MP. He's from Papineau, Quebec. So I'm not sure why he was zoicha to be in the same place as Rebbeinu Yaakov. Also, Satan noshke lekaren. The Satan came and kissed his feet. He kissed the feet of Rebbeinu Bar Yaakov. Okay. B'chol zois loichata iyov bisvasa. Even though he was going through this terrible tsaris, he still didn't speak out Keneged the Chadosh Baruch Hu. In his heart already, he was already starting to have tightness. My karma, how do we know this? It says, Eretz Nosna B'Yad Rasha, P'nei Shefter Yechasa, Imloi Ephoi Mihu. So he was thinking to himself, Imloi Ephoi Mihu, where's the Rebbeinu Shalom? Amar Rabba Bikash Iyov Lahafoi Kara Alpia. Wanted to turn over the pot, meaning go connect the Rebbeinu Shalom. Amar Leia Abaye. Lloyd, that's not true. When he said, he was speaking against the Satan, why are you bothering me? Avada, he wasn't expressing pain and frustration, Keneged the Rebbeinu Shalom. Kitanoi, Eretz Nosna B'Yad Resha, Rabbi Lazar Eimer, Bigashi of Lachan Kar Al Pia, Keneged the Rebbeinu Shalom, Amar Bishua, Lo Diber Iyav Ela Klapisam. Al Daitcha, Kiloya Rasha, the Ein Miyotcha Matzel. I should really read these psukim inside because I'm probably ruining the pronunciation of these psukim. What Eov's tiny here was, he wanted to make it that no one should be responsible for the affairs that they did. Al daitach, it's on you, Hashem. I'm not a Rasha, because who could save themselves from you? What does that mean? Barasa Shor, you create the ox, Parsois of Sedukais, with split hooves. Barasa Chamor, Parsois of Plutais, not split hooves. Barasa Ganathan, Barasa Gehenim, Barasa Tzaddik, Barasa Rishoyim. You build everything. You put the Yitzhara into us to make us into Rishoyim. Min Makabayodcha. So, in other words, there's no schar b'inish. There's no schar b'inish. You can't punish anybody for any of their averas because you make us do the avera. You make us do the averas. You created this up. What do they answer him back? Af ata hafer yira the sigra sichalofanai kale bora hakadosh baruch hu. So bora hakadosh baruch hu yitzhara true, but bora like Torah tapu. Sure, hakadosh baruch hu made the yitzhara, but that doesn't mean we don't have a way around it. It doesn't mean we can't be protected from it. Bara Torah Tavlin, and therefore your excuse to say that this is beyond our control is not acceptable. Dorish Rava, my dechsiv beirach to oived alai tavoy belev almana arnin. Berches oived alai tavoy. What does that mean? Malamed show you goizel sodom yisoymim umashpicha machzir lehem. What Eoy would do, he was such a good person, he would take assets from yisoymim. I can't believe Imam stole it, but he took them, he improved them and gave it back to them in an improved state. Imagine he takes a field that's full of weeds and he cleans it up and he plants a crop and he gives it back to the Yisraelim. He's murdered the Kmeita for the Yisraelim. V'lev Almana Arnin, what did he do for Almanas? He helped them get remarried. The Chalhecha, to have Almana, live in Nasrallah, couldn't find the Shidduch, have a Azul Shadi Shmei Iluya, he would put his name on her, and then Bava also Nasrallah, people would come marry her. And the Rashi tells us what does it mean he would put his name on her. Zokt Rashi, what he would do is either Eimer Shai Krevasa, he was very rich and said, I'm related. So therefore people would want to marry her. Oi Medaber Balasiana, or he would work hard to try to find her a shid. Zokt Gemara, Lu Shakal Yishkoil Ka'asai Husi B'Maznayim So Yachad Omarav Offer Lapume de Ioiv. What did Eoy say? He said, one second, no, that's not what I'm not doing. It's over here. No, sorry, that's before. So let me read the what did he say? That was a tie on him. The Lu Shakal Yishkoil Ka'asai. Does anybody ask what the touch of that is? What did he say? If you weigh what I'm going through,
yeah, when meaning if the stuff that was placed in the weighing scale would outweigh all the stand by all the food in the world.
So he was sort of complaining that you're overweighing me with problems. So Amar Rebbe, after the Puma de Eoy, earth should be in the mouth of Eoy because he's speaking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like he's my buddy. Chavrus the Klap Ishmaya, it was inappropriate for Eoy to speak that way. We're going to see as well as one of the conclusions is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't hold things against us when we cry out in pain because he's in a very difficult situation. What's the lashon of Afra Lupume? So the Ben Yoyada says he's complaining about his lot in life. You know the first Bria that wasn't happy with what he had and he wanted to take what didn't belong to him? The Nachash. And the Nachash ended up with Afra Lupume. So that's where this comes from. Lu Yesh Beinenu Mechiach, if we only had someone who could be an arbitrator between us, Yosy Yodal Shadenu, that could pass commerce, no, that would show that I'm being dealt with unfairly. Amarav again, Afra Lupume the ear, Klum Yesh Evet Shemechiach as rabbi. You have an Evet that's giving Musa to his rabbi saying you're treating me unfairly. Bris Karsi Le'enai Umas Boinon Al Basula. I was so good I wouldn't even look at a woman that I'm not allowed to look at. From a rabbi, Afra Lupume the ear. You know why? Iyubach Benisa. Eoy didn't look at other women, but he looked at his own wife. Avram Afilu B'Didei Yistakel. He didn't even look at his own wife. T'chsib Hine No Yadati Ki Isha Yifas Mar'at Mechlav D'Mikor L'Aviyadula. Avram didn't even know how beautiful his own wife was. Kol Adam V'Yelech Ken Yoyrich Oil. Like a cloud dissipates. That's how I'm going to go to the She'oil Yala. Amarava Mikan Shekafar Eoy V'Tchias Hamesim. Eoy was Kaifer in Tchias Hamesim. Asher V'Sa'ari Sufeni in a Behola wind, the storm. Well, you're hurting me. And you're marbing my blows for nothing. With in great confusion and great storms, he cursed. And I answered him that way. In a terrible storm, you're hurting me. Is it possible, that you went through a storm and you got mixed up and you think I'm oyev, I'm an enemy rather than oyev? Hashem, something's got to be wrong over here. You probably mixed up my social insurance number with somebody else's. I'm a good guy. I don't deserve what you're giving me. The sorry Shavu said, answered it back. Because Baruch answered up a multi-pronged answer. In the Sa'ara B'yomer, Ozar no kegeber chalotzecha. Pull up your pants and get yourself dressed. Weapon yourself. Get yourself ready. Eshalcha. Now be a big boy. Eshalcha. I'll ask you identity and tell me. A person has many hairs. No two hairs grows out of the same hole. There's a separate hole for each hair. Never will two hairs grow out of one hole. It would ruin a person. So Hashem said, "Ben gumal gumal nischalafli." If I know exactly which hole each hair belongs in, ben iyav la'ayev nischalafli. You think I'm going to make a mistake? Or me palak l'shat tala. Harbatibim barasi ba'av. I created many drops of rain in the cloud. And each drip had a special form for it to be made. So no two drips will come out of the same place. It would mess up the world. And it would make it full of mud. And it wouldn't be much Paris. I didn't mix up one drop to another drop. My mashma dai tala listed fusu. How do you know the word tala? It's a lesson of a form that the raindrop formed in. Amar Rabbi Shila dechsi vayas tala kibeis asayim zera. Okay. V'derach lechazes koilos harbe. Or v'derach lechazes koilos harbe. I'm sorry. V'derach lechazes koilos harbe. Koilos barasi b'avim. I made koilos in avim. I'm assuming that means thunder. What? Harbe koilos barasi b'avim. I made many koilos in the clouds. I assume that means thunder. And every koilos its own path. So no two thunders should come out of the same path. It would destroy the world. This was a type of sheep, it's a mountain lamb that hated its children because of the pain that it went through in childbirth. So Yalazor Schar Talmudah, she's an oxer. She hates her children only for the moment that they're born until she develops the motherly love. So therefore, Bishah Shakairas Laledas, when they are about to give birth, since they're so angry at this baby that's causing them so much pain, they give birth right at the top of a mountain, so the child should die instantly. I prepared that an eagle should swoop by at that exact moment. And puts the child in front of the mother, and in that moment, the mother now right away loves the child and nurtures the child. If the eagle would come a moment too soon, or a moment too late, it would die right away because it wouldn't be there to capture the baby. I don't make a mistake in a nanosecond. This same ayala, rachmatzor. Maybe that's why she has such pain, because her birth canal is very narrow and it's very hard for the baby to get through, and that causes extreme pain. I send a serpent there, and it bites you there, and the venom loosens up the muscles, and that's how it gives birth. So when you regular, I don't make a mistake. I deliver that dose of venom at the exact moment. It's not practical. Because Baruch Hu doesn't punish somebody for crying out, even if he says things are inappropriate when he's in a horrible matter. His three friends heard it's called a Razois Abolov, Vayevo Ishmim Kaimai, Alivas a Taimani, who built a Shuchay, Vitzoifer and Amosi, Vayeval Yachtav, they came together, Lavoy Lonudloi to support him, Lanachmoi to comfort him. My view about the Yachtav, how do they know Punk not to come at this time? Amar Yehuda, Amarav Malamich, and Nipnasu Kulam B'Sharecha, they came at the same time. Betana ben Kalechad Becha Cholosh Mesh Parsi. They didn't live near each other, and they didn't have communications in those days. Minaviyade. Ikadami Kalil Hava, they had some type of crown. Vikadami Ilane Hava, they had some trees. The Chivin the Chamshi, as soon as they flopped, they became soft. It was a nice. The trees started drooping, the crown started drooping. Havayadi, they knew this trouble. Amar behind Amar Inchi, Oy Chevra Kechevri, the Iyai Misusa. If you don't have such loyal, good friends like the friends that Iyai had, life isn't worth it. When people started multiplying in the land, and they were giving birth to daughters. Taiva came to the world at that time. The Taivas Noshim came to the world. Rashi's Kishanol the Bas, Levishim and Maharis Leos Lazera. No, I guess it caused a lot of children to get born because she has more zera. I'm not sure exactly how that works. But Shlaka Shamer, Mariva Bala, if anything about fighting to the world, Amalur Shlaka Shabbi Yochanan. Let's see if Rashi explains Mariva. Rashi says Mariva. Let's see. Rashi says Mariva. No, Rivi, it doesn't say Mariva. But it let the fighting, I guess.
During development, these are men who are unworthy and punished and antagonistic ones.
Oh, so it's like someone says, I got married before the Muhammad. In other words, when I got married, that was the Muhammad. Right? Zok to Gemara. Amar Leir Shlak Shab Yoichan Lidacht Amar Reviya Bala Ilam Mipnei Ma Loi Nichpelu Benoishav Shal Iyayv. So I bezoi. Why didn't the children of Iyayv multiply? I guess if there's Reviya Bala Ilam, so then Kum Techais, there should have been many more children born. They might not have had more names. They did become much more beautiful. Karen. Karen Huff. Yemima, where did that name come from? She was beautiful like the day. She smelled like a delicious fruit. Karen Havach, Amrit Verb Shila, Shadoima, Lakarna, to Kurish, which was some type of the horn of some type of animal, actually Minchaya, and its horns create some black, and I guess that's nice for makeup. It was some type of nice thing. Kind of Kurish Lakusi, forget it, black, it's not nice. Amr Abchista, Kekurchama the Rishka, it's like that's some type of other thing that's nice. That's actually exactly what it was. Saffron. Okay. Shimon Berebi is Yalida Lebarti. He had a daughter. He felt bad that he had a daughter. Why are you upset? It's a good thing that came to the world. Your father, he was trying to do Menachem, you had a daughter. It's not a good Nechama. The Tanya, we need males, we need females to keep the mean going. Ella, Asher Misha Bonav Zcharim, woe is the person whose children are Zcharim. Oy loy the Misha Bonav the Kavis. Woe is to someone who has to have the daughters. The world needs people who make perfumes and smell good, and people who tan leather who smell bad. Nevertheless, Asher Misha Nusay Busmi, Oy lo Misha Nusay Bursi. Right? There's many jobs that have to get done. We should be grateful that the jobs that we got were good jobs. They say, what do you mean, Oila Mishabot of the Kavos? So they say, Oila Mishabot of the Kavos. In today's day and age, we can understand it. Woe is to a person whose sons want to be like the Kavos. That's very bad. I think I just got thrown off of YouTube. Yeah. Tonight, we have a Machloikis tonight, very famous Gemara. What is Bakoil? He didn't have a daughter, and then he got a daughter. No, the brach was that he didn't have a daughter. That's Bakoil. He had everything going for him, he didn't have a daughter. Rabbi Yudaimer Shahoishalai Bas. Bas Hoysel of Avram Avinu Ubakoil Shuma. That was her name. Rabbi Zabadi Omer. It's Tagnidus Hoysel believer Shel Avram Avinu. Avram saw. He saw through astrology. Shekol Malchei Mizrach Umar Mashkim LePescha. Everyone's going to come to him for advice. That was the Bakoil. Everyone would be needing him. Shimon Yochai Omer. Evan Toiva Hoysel Tli B'Savar Shel Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu had a special Evan Toiva. Shekol Chayil HaRoya Yisai. Anybody who saw it, Miyad Misrape. Toiv was asked. We actually heard that, didn't we say that sickness didn't come to the world until Yaakov's days? Now, Avram's days, no one used to get sick. So Toiv says it means an injury. It would heal an injury. Hashem put this Margolius in the Galgal Chama. Amar Bai, Hein Amar Inchi, Idli Yoima, Idli Ksira. When the Yoim wanes, the refuah wanes. Dover Acher, Shalem Morad, Esav B'Yamav. The bracha was that Esav went after Derech, but not in Avram's lifetime. Dover Acher, Shasa Yishmol, Tshuva B'Yamav, that Yishmol, who was bad, did Tshuva in Avram's life. Shalem Morad, Esav B'Yamav, and how do we know that Esav didn't rebel in the lifetime of Avram Avinu? That was the day of Avelis for Avram Avinu, Vasa Yaakov Avinu, Tavshel Shaladoshim, Lenachem Yitzchak. The whole reason why Yaakov cooked up the Adoshim was to be Menachem all of his father. Umayshah Shaladoshim, Vasa up his beans. Amri b'Marava Mishmei the Rabba Barmari, Ma Adoshizu Ein Lepeh. Just like the Adosh doesn't have an opening, it's just a round bean. Af Avel Ein Lepeh. He doesn't have a mouthpiece. In other words, he's a little bit diminished. Dovaracher Ma Adoshizu Migulgalas. It's round. Afavelus Migulgalas. Umaxeris Rabbi Loilam. It's a Kagala Chayzer, goes around and around. My Benai Ikrinai Lenachumi Bebe. Can you use eggs? Eggs don't have an opening. So if that's the reason why an oval eats lentils, that's why he would eat eggs. But if it's because it's round and the egg is not round, Al Kalpanim, we do have, but we have eggs. So vice versa, we pass on that it's called in like pet. I'm a break. The Chamish Averis over Oisharash Bais Hayoyin. Esav was over 5 Averis that day that he bought the brachas. Baal Nair Murasa, the Hargas and Defesh, the Kafar Beikir, the Kafar Betchis Mesim, the Shadas Abachar, and the Mavasa the Bachar. Baal Nair Murasa, Ksevach Habayov Esav, the Saduk Sevazam, Kibasada Matzah, which was talking about being honest a woman. Hargas and Defesh, Ksevach Oiv Ksevazam, Oinali, Kiayef and Navchi, Lahargim. The Kafar Beikir, Ksevach Lama Lazi Bachar, right? That's what Esav said. Ksevazam Zek Kelev Ambeyu. So Lama Lizah, why don't you do Baruch? Because of it, Cheshamesim, the Ksiv, Hine Anoich Haylach Lamus. The Shadas Abachar, the Ksiv, Ayiv is Esav is Abachar. Vizashi Shmol Tshuva, B'Yamav Bino. How do we know Yishmol the Tshuva in the life of Avram Avinu? Tiad Ravina, Reb Chama Barbuzu, you have a Yasik, I made the Rabba, the Kamanamim. The Kamanamim, Rabba was falling asleep. Amal Ravina, Reb Chama Barbuzi. So Ravina and Reb Chama Barbuzi were talking to each other in front of Rabba. And he said, Vadai, Zamrisu, Kol Misa, Sheyesh Bagvia, Zu Misasan Shosadikim. This is by Yigva Vayamos, it's a sign that we're talking about a topic. Amalayin, Ivadar Mabel, it uses the Lashon of Yigvu, Amalay, Anan Gvia Viasifa. This is by Yigva Vayosef Alamo, that's only when it's a Lashon of a tzaddik, Kamino. Iva Yishmal Chsiv Gvia Viasifa. So you have a raya that it cannot be Mises tzaddik because Yishmal is a Rasha. And the Hacha is Bu Rabba, and meantime Rabba woke up and heard the conversation. Amalu Da'adiki Kindalach. And that's why it makes sense to say Viva Sifa, because in fact Yishmael was a tzaddik then. You see Yishmael let his brother go first. He let Yitzchak go first. He had covered for Yitzchak. Who did the pasuk is talking in the order of how they went? Maybe the Torah is talking about in the order of their cheshivas. That's why the Torah lists Yitzchak first. So Gemara can't be. Esav definitely wasn't smarter. My time at the Bure Adabre. With Adbre, so it must be that if he put him first, it means Esav walked in front of Yaakov. He didn't have respect. But on the other hand, he's small, let Yitzchak go in front of him. With Adbre, if he bought it, you get respect for him. Shemami not Shuva also be he must have done Shuva. Phew, Akara. Stoich. I'll be back Wednesday morning, Hashem. Hopefully, I'll leave early enough.